Helen here with Eyes on the Game, and I'm here being joined by the man of the hour, the NHL legend, Jeremy Roenick. Well, first off, since we are here in Las Vegas and we just spoke about the Diamond Resorts Tournament of Champions, can you talk a bit about that and also how your golf game is?
Well, it's really exciting for us as celebrities. We'll have 45 celebrities that will be competing with the best women in the world in golf, and I think as ego celebrity men, we're going to have thick skin because we're going to get schooled on how to play the game the way it's supposed to be played by the best women players in the world that have conquered their sport. I mean, every player in the LPGA that has won a tournament in the last 2 years is going to be able to compete on the stage at the Diamond Resorts Champions Tour. As celebrities, for us, it's going to be a blast. I think it's going to give a lot of. We're going to be able to raise a lot of money for charity, the Children's Hospital of Orlando, and I'm really excited. I've become friends with a few of the LPGA players, and I'm looking forward to going out there and testing my skills. I'm playing pretty well right now, so you know, I'm a zero handicap, so I don't think I'll come in last, but I'm definitely going to come in first as the LPGA goes.
Something in between, right?
Well, I finished second in the celebrity event last year, and so I still need to overcome that and conquer that last couple putts to allow me to win it. But you know, I'm just really excited to watch to see how the best in the women's tour and the LPGA, how they prepare, how they play, how they grind, because as a professional athlete, it's a different mentality. And I did it in hockey for years, and it's going to be nice to be alongside another sport and watching them do the same thing.
And being here in Las Vegas, I did notice when you were up there on the press conference, you said something where you said going to a Golden Knights game, it's not just like watching a game, you're getting, you know, an experience.
Sure.
So can you kind of talk about the first season of the Golden Knights and if anything surprised you at all about it?
Well, they did everything right last year. Yeah. I think number one, they came in and they dove into a community that was really hurting because of the shootings in October. They made themselves a vital part of the community. So number one, they did the right thing by making sure that they comforted and they gave the fans of Arizona some time to get away and not think about the awful things that happened here in October. Number two, they put on a marketing plan that was second to none. I think they made it an experience to come watch a hockey game. You weren't going to watch a hockey game. You were going to be entertained from the minute you walked into that building until the second that you walked out. And then when you walked out, you're going to tell your friends about it, and you're going to talk about it. And whether it was the music, whether it was the shows, whether it was the performances, the Cirque du Soleil, it was one big nightclub in there. And then the players came on and rose the level of their play to new heights. So. And I think that, you know, I think it's a proud team so early, and I think the city is proud of them, and it's really nice to see that it happened in the National Hockey League was the first to do it.
Now, last year when they were putting the roster together and getting those players, were you surprised at all that, you know, that team ended up getting to the finals against the Capitals?
For sure, everybody in the world was. That's why. That's why the Knights are so renowned now around the world. It's not just hockey; it's all of sports. When you have an expansion team, be able to run through a regular season and make it all the way to a championship final, and I don't care what sport it is. The odds, defying those odds are monumental. So, and they did it with pizzazz. They did it with fun. They did it with electricity, and they did it again. I'm going to say it again, with a city that everybody was passionate for because of the events in October. So, you know, they were able to capitalize on a lot of different things and make a splash like no other expansion franchise has ever done.
Now, in the summer, they did make, you know, a few changes. No more James Neal, no more Lucas Spiza, and they do have the additions of Paul Stastny, Nick Holden, Pacioretty. Yeah, so do you think that this season, I mean, they should be doing better, or what are your thoughts on how they'll do this season?
They will be fine. Yeah. They play a style of game that is really conducive to winning. They're fast, they're energetic, they have good goaltending, they have good offense. But it's really, really hard to keep a momentum that they had last year. What they're going to find now is that nobody's going to take them for granted. No one's going to come in here to Vegas and think it's going to be an easy couple days and an easy 2-point win. Teams are going to come in here. They're going to know what they can do in the city, what they can't do. They're going to play harder in the city. When the Knights go on the road, there are going to be teams that are going to be bearing down, ready to play. Karlsson, Marchessault, Smith, these guys are going to have the best defensive pair against them, the top shutdown line against them. No more are they going to be going under the radar. And that's a lot harder hockey to have to play this year than last year. They're going to have to get used to it.
And what do you think about the Sharks getting Erik Karlsson?
That was amazing. I was shocked. I mean, it's one thing to have Brent Burns and Marc-Edouard Vlasic on the defense, two of the best defensemen in the National Hockey League, but then to add an Erik Karlsson into that mix, you don't see a scenario like that happen in the National Hockey League. I mean, those are probably three of the top 6 best defensemen in all of the National Hockey League on one team. That will bode a little bit of an interesting dilemma contract-wise for Doug Wilson, but it hasn't started well for them. But I think when you do have that much talent, it's easy to think you're just going to show up and win hockey games. Still got to put the work in, but that was a huge acquisition for the Sharks.
Now, I know it is still very early on, but do you have any early Stanley Cup predictions?
Well, I picked Winnipeg last year. I think if you look at Winnipeg again this year, they're just as strong, if not stronger, this year than they were last year. And, I'd be crazy not to think that they weren't going to make amends of losing in the semifinals last year. I can see them getting to the finals this year. And it's going to be between Tampa, Washington, or Toronto in the East. I think Tampa might be my early pick in the East.
Now, lastly, because I do know that you did play for the Philadelphia Flyers, Gritty has been making a lot of noise. What are your thoughts on Gritty?
Gritty scared me at first, to tell you the truth. I thought it was a joke. I thought someone was playing an internet joke. But if you think about it, if you want to make an explosion through the internet world or through the sports world, you get the ugliest mascot you possibly can, maybe one of the scariest. But me being a Flyer, and this is how I feel, sometimes, and especially in the Flyers days, we won ugly. We won fighting, we won battling, clutching and grabbing, sometimes not the prettiest wins. So maybe having an ugly mascot will get back to the mentality in the Flyers of winning ugly. And if they do that, they're going to get back to the playoffs and be very tough to beat.
That is a good, interesting way to perceive that. Yeah. And also, are you still afraid of Gritty, or do you still think it's ugly? He's not very pretty at all. No. And one thing that Gritty needs to work on is his skating. I've seen him fall a bunch. I saw him fall a bunch of times. So I think he's got to work on the blades a little bit before he gets out there.